I hope everybody's doing okay. This is probably gonna be one of the shortest videos that I've made. I just wanted to touch back on the topic, and make another video talking about all the evil landmarks. And like I said, I want to specifically try to stick with the ones in the United States, or at least talk about all the major ones before I would go out of the country. While there's hundreds and hundreds to talk about in the United States, I'm going to try to just stick with the major ones, or at least finish them off first. This is only the second one in the series. The first one dealt with the Statue of Liberty, which I feel like is probably the most famous statue, and it's also the most, one of the easiest to prove that it's Lucifer. And while most of them are Lucifer in disguise, the Statue of Liberty is openly Lucifer, Lucifer the light bearer. Um, Now we'll go to the other most famous monument. We'll go to Washington D.C. This was originally going to be called Rome, and when you look around, it looks if you just woke up there and didn't know what it was, you would think you're in a whole other country. If you're someone that's not programmed by the world system that brainwashes you, starting as a kid, and 13 years of brainwashing through school, and you go there not under programming, you'll realize that it's hundreds and hundreds of symbols and statue after statue, every single where you look, of the pagan demonic gods, but I'll talk about them later. I just want to quickly explain the Washington Monument, because if you just look at it like and don't know what it actually is, which I'm about to get to, and most people don't question what the heck is this? Like, to the uninitiated, or somebody that's just a regular civilian, it just looks like a tall statue of nothing. Just a tall statue with a tip that's kind of meaningless. But yet nobody asks what does this mean. Well, I'm about to tell you what it means. And it means a few different things. But I'll tell you what's most important is what is the intention of what it meant to the people that built it. So obviously it was built by Freemasons. But so see, they would try to say, oh well, what it actually is an obelisk. That's what the actual name is. But we'll get to what the obelisk meant. First, we'll get to what it means to them. Like I said, it was built by Freemasons. To them, the obelisk represents the shaft of Baal, the phallus, because Freemasons they worship many things, but when it comes down to it, the majority of them primarily worship themselves, because at the higher levels they're Gnostic, so they view themselves as gods. They worship the reproductive organs. And the Washington Monument is an obelisk. Obelisk means Baal's shaft. So the genitalia, the phallus of Baal. And also in Egypt, while it's also called an obelisk, and someone can make the argument that it was a sundial to try to tell the time, it was also symbolized Ra, the Egyptian sun god, who was pretty much towards the top of the pantheon, and Horus is also associated with the sun god as well, who Crowley claimed to be the crowned and conquering child of the Aeon of Horus. Now, the secrets of the Washington Monument is, while they'll tell you it's 550 feet, which through the eyes looking at it, that's true. But what they don't tell you is that, and you have to actually read about how it was built. Because it was originally going to be something completely different, but the land didn't support for it. But under it, the same material, the monument, they add a hundred and 16 extra feet to it. So 550 plus 116 means that that so-called Wasa monument, that is the shaft of Baal and the symbol of the Egyptian god Ra, is secretly 666. So you're constantly looking at the number of the beast when you enter Washington D.C. and you can point out pentagrams, 666, square and compasses, pagan statues everywhere. If you know what to look for, everywhere. Um, Also, when you go to the top, when you start to see the tip, which is supposed to represent the tip of the phallus, it's 13 separate blocks with that makes the top of the pyramid structure at the top of the monument, which represents the 13 blocks of the pyramid on the back of the dollar bill, which represents the 13 top societies. And eventually I'll do a complete breakdown of the dollar bill. If you actually know how complicated it is, that you're 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 looking at an hour, at up to an hour, um explaining that thing. And but I'll speak a little bit into the 13 different blocks making the pyramid at the top of the obelisk. They represent the lowest societies to the highest. The lowest obviously being Blue Lodge Masonry, and I'm not gonna go through all 13. But then towards the middle, you get to stuff like the OTO, the Order of the Trapezoid. Then towards the top, at the very top, obviously it's Lucifer. Then under that you have the Seven, which is Satan's top 7 fallen angels that report directly and only to him. Then under that you have the 9 unknown men. Then under that you have the modern Illuminati, which there's very few members of. Under that you have the Palladium. Then under that you have the OTO, and so on and so on. About in between you have the ancient primitive rite of Memphis Mithraism, and in between all these you have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of societies in America that are all, they call them allied bodies, but they all fit in these 13 blocks in between them. It's endless. It's endless. Almost no one would have the time to sit here and make a separate video about each one. I'm gonna I'm gonna try my very best I can to do it, because I've realized some of the stuff that some of this knowledge that I hold, there's nobody on YouTube that's ever even made a video about it. You can't find one. Like, um, I've only seen maybe 3 or 4 YouTube videos in my life that speaks on how masonry goes far beyond 33 degrees. Um, I'll pretty much also, the last thing to say about that monument, though, you'll see pictures. Well, I don't know if you have, but I've seen a lot. I also pay attention to every single thing I see. I always have since I was a kid. But you'll see the reflection of the water. You'll always see the monument reflecting the water, and they built it like that on purpose, and the average person will just think they built it like that because it's pretty. And I'm not, and obviously, reflections in water is pretty. It's part of the Lord Jesus Christ, who is God, the nature that Jesus Christ created. Because Jesus Christ is the Creator, as well as He is the Father, as well as the Father is the Son. Praise Yahweh. But the occult esoteric meaning is as above, so below. And I've seen people ask what that means, and they'll give they'll go around in circles as giving an answer without giving an answer that makes no sense. And these people claim to be ex-witches and stuff, and they can't even give you a simple answer of what it means. It means what they believe, what you control the spiritual, what you control in the spiritual realm affects the physical realm, or what you control in the second heaven, which is the spirit world, affects the first heaven, which is the physical world. And is that true? To an extent, it is. But God, thankfully, God gives these things limitations, and if God doesn't want all that stuff to work, it doesn't work. Because if every single thing that the Illuminati attempted worked, they would have had control of every single person, every single thing in the entire world by the year 1800. Now, does the as above so below mostly control the world? Unfortunately, until Jesus Christ comes back and Satan is the god of this world and the prince of the power of the air, then yeah, as above so below is not a lie. It's not fake. It is the truth. It's not Christian, because they don't account for the part that God decides if He'll allow it to happen. So, as a Christian, no, you should not believe in that as your doctrine, but we do have to acknowledge that it is there is some truth to it. That's why at some point I think a Christian should understand the occult and study it, as long as they feel like it's not damaging their soul. That's why I would say for no new Christian to study the occult. But at some point, if they want to be able to bring some of this to the light, then you have to. And that's pretty much it. There's not much to say about that monument other than that it's just another monument of Lucifer. Thank you.